Hello, hi, welcome back, friends. My name is Rachel and I'm on a current no buy. Playlist is always linked in the description box if you're new here and you want to catch up on that. But today we're deviating from no buy a little bit. However, we'll touch on that in just a second. Today we're going to be applying the makeup that I plan to take on a work trip for the coming week. I will be going to a conference for work, so I'll be there for the full week, and I'm going to be trying to make decisions on this large pile of makeup on what is actually going to go with me. And it's all stuff that I already owned. We're not buying anything new for this trip outside of one planned purchase that we knew coming into this no buy. But if that sounds good, hope you'll stick around, keep watching, and let's jump right in. All right, so we're just gonna dive right into it. The only things that I will mention before we get into the products themselves is that I have 3 options of bags that I can take this in. This one velcros into my toiletry bag that we're gonna get into when we talk about toiletries in the next video. That would be amazing if we could fit in here. However, I know myself better than that, and I'm thinking we might fit into this one a little bit better. This is like the big guy. I'm just gonna opt out of him. If we can't make it work in this small one, we're just going to, you know? So I'm gonna try to fit into one of these. And then what I love taking with me on trips are these silicone holders. I actually don't need the sponge this time because I don't plan on taking a sponge. However, I love this. I got the 2 as a set on Amazon. It's just a silicone cover. You kind of pinch it and it pops open, and I like to limit my brushes to that size. And it fits perfectly in this. Or maybe it might be a little too big, but it'll definitely fit in the larger bag. So I think we're just gonna tap this one out and we're just gonna keep to my makeup bag. I do need to put a little bit of prep on my face. What I typically wear is the Beauty Mineral Sun Glow, but I'm getting pretty low and I don't think this will last the week that I'm going to be gone. So I'm actually going to use the new one that I bought. So in anticipation of emptying this, I went ahead and picked up the Beauty of Joeson Relief Sunrise and Probiotics. This is the original SPF 50 PA+4. And I have used this a couple of times because I couldn't resist myself when it came in. And so far I like it, but I'm gonna postpone final thoughts. What I will say is I got mine from iHerb, which is a certified retailer from the Beauty of Joeson site. So make sure that you're not buying a counterfeit. Amazon has been well known to do that, so stick to your Yes Styles, your Salvana, or your iHerb. This was, I think, $15 on iHerb for 1.69 fluid ounces, so it is quite an affordable sunscreen. It is comfortable, it sinks in, it is chemical, but it is the filters that they are using abroad. I'm so curious. Everyone that I know that uses this sunscreen, their skin is phenomenal. And I know some of that's genetics, and I know some of that is the other actives they use, but if they trust the SPF 50 in this, I shall too. And this might be the Goldilocks of replacing the In Beauty, although I love this so much and it is mineral, and I put a lot of faith in mineral for my skin personally. I'm so curious if this will beat out, and then I'll finish this In Beauty up when we get home. So I'm going to throw this in my bag. Might even finish the In Beauty up in the time that it takes to go on this trip because I am out a few days from when I need to leave. Now that that has sunk in, which it sinks in quite fast, I am tempted to take the Jane Iredale Smooth Affair primer just to use it up. This does give a little bit of blurring. I'm just going to take like a pea-sized amount and focus it by my nose here where my pores are quite large. I really just want to use this product up. If I'm honest, I will be curious to see if I fall in love with it along the way. It is a little spendy. You do get 1.7 fluid ounces, and it does like a decent job. It blurs a little bit, but nothing like absolutely groundbreaking. You need this product. I'm just trying to use it up, and since I am driving and not flying, I have space for this, so I will be packing this to use up. I haven't noticed any adverse side effects like on my skin. It doesn't cause breakouts for me, which is really nice. has like a nice little orange smell, but now that that has sunk in, what I'm actually going to wear today is the It CC Cream, the original, the SPF 50 in Fair. This is just a go-to for me. Always in the summer, lighting, there we go, better. Always in the summer, and I can just count on it. I know it doesn't break down on my face in a funky way, and I'm gonna be in sessions pretty much all day. I've really jam-packed my agenda. I might have to rethink that, but we'll see how the first day goes. I'm just so excited about all the topics that will be covered. I'm going to a Women in Conference Tech, Grace Hopper, if you are curious. It's the largest, I think, women tech conference, and I can't wait to get into those sessions. There's so many good ones. But that said, I like to use a big fluffy brush. This just helps me not over apply the foundation. I have a video talking about these techniques because my skin has been changing as I enter my mid-30s. And it's so quick with a big fluffy brush, and it gives me a light layer. And then if I think that I need any extra, I can add. But it's just like a nice wash. I feel like I can get low coverage, like just a quick wash like this, or I can build it up to get full coverage. I know how it wears throughout the day. I'm happy with it. It also does add extra protection, and it's small. So that's gonna go into the bag. And before we get concealer, I do want to mention that I will be taking the Jade Iredale Pressed Foundation Powder and the handy brush that I just did kind of a review on in my sensory friendly makeup. I'm taking this because it is sensory friendly. I also know how this wears throughout the day. And if I find that I don't like how long the CC cream lasts, sorry, my allergies, I can go back to this and I can pack this to touch up. I can even pack this to touch up during the day wearing the It CC cream, because it does do a nice job of that, especially once you start getting bare in some areas. So that's gonna go with me. And then the concealer that I'm going to take with me is the NYX Bear With Me. It's a nice medium coverage, and I also like that it's a pump because I do like applying my concealer from the back of my hand because it keeps me accountable to not over apply like I did in the sensory friendly video. And I just work my brush into that product, and I'm just going to hit under the eyes in some of the areas where I have active breakouts. But if you are new here, I'm not someone who likes to completely blank out my skin, and I'm not too worried about some breakouts or some pigmentation showing through my makeup. I just love that concealer. It conceals really well while still being a medium coverage. It's hydrating. I have just really loved this concealer, and I've talked about how I've been using it more than anything, but I don't know that I've used it on camera yet. I think I did in that techniques video, but I do really love it. And then I'm just going to apply a little bit more, work it into the brush, hit around my nose, and then cover up some of the discoloration I have. My hormone cycle was very vicious this time around, and I'm actually dealing with a migraine as we speak. I'm on my second round of Excedrin, so hopefully that kicks in, because I do have that event to go to tonight. You know, you feel me? And then just what's left over on the brush, I'll kind of tap around. But there's the base. I'm happy with it. As you can see, I like to have my skin peeking through. A lot of this is going to be covered up or camouflaged with blush, so that way there's not too many layers on the skin. I try to be selective about what I put on. So I have my concealer brush and the brush that we applied foundation with in my brush kit so far. Then the only other concealer I'm going to take is the Beautypie Super Luminous Under Eye Genius Corrector Light Medium. I do want to try to completely pan this, and this is one of my favorite things. If I'm only wearing like 2 makeup products, this is one of them. I also have a video on this, so I'll just take that with me. I love it for travel days because it's just one product. You can touch it up. And then to set under my eyes and around my face, I'm going to use the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. And this is where I'm a wee bit torn because I have been using this Real Techniques dual-sided powder puff and sponge, which I didn't clean, even though I told you that I needed to clean it. All of my brushes are gonna get washed before this trip. I'm just trying to determine which of those, because I'm not trying to stand at the sink all day. Or do I wanna take my mini puff? I actually think I'm gonna take my mini puff because it'll save space, and I have the Jane Iredale with the brush to touch up at the conference. So I'm just going to pick some up, work that into the puff on the back of my hand, and set. I have also found that this e.l.f. Halo Glow setting powder is no joke, and usually, not even usually, all the products that I've used with it, when I set with this powder, it stays all day, and we love that. Especially if we're gonna be in conference sessions all day, and then there's a couple days where I have planned dinners with people from work. And the Jane Iredale can help me touch up if anything seems to fail. So I like to mainly focus setting on my under eyes, around my nose, and my chin, anywhere where I want that coverage to stay for a very long time. And I'm actually, this might not be hygienic, and I don't do as I say, or don't do as I do as I say. I'm just gonna shove it in there into the here so it just doesn't get lost, and it's gonna be more protection in there than in my brush holder. So that's the only powder that I plan to take for touch-ups, although it is very, very tempting to take my Westman Atelier. I'm gonna leave that aside for now. All right, for my brows, it's gonna be just my everyday brow products. I have the e.l.f. Precision Ultra Precise Brow Pencil and Taupe. I'm just gonna run the brush through and then fill in the sparse areas with this pencil. And then I will go in with the e.l.f. Wow Brow and Taupe as well to finish it up. So I will speed through that. All right, brows on and those products in the bag. I'm gonna do bronzer next. So I am going to be taking the Phytosurgence Rosy Daybreak, their Spectral Sunlight Cream Bronzer, and I'm going to use my Rare Beauty Blush Brush. I have spoken at length about how much I love this bronzer, and it's the right tone no matter what the season is, and it just looks the most natural. And with this brush, it's so quick and easy to put on that I just love it. And I'm gonna hit my forehead, which I just did. Frank's barking in the background. I'm gonna go have to take away his window rights because people are out mowing and he does not like that. I'm gonna hit underneath my chin and along my jawline for just a very, very light contour because this is rosy and neutral. I can do that. So I'm gonna throw my bronzer in, and then the blush brush we're gonna use for blush as well. And that's where we do have to make some decisions. So I'm gonna go I'm gonna go relinquish Frank's rights to the windows, if that's the right word, relinquish. And I'll be right back. Okay, we're gonna try to avoid this descending into chaos with Frank. However, let's get into blush. I'm going to use the Rare Beauty brush, like I said, just saves on brush space, but I'm so torn because my everyday blush is, Phytosurgence Condensate. It's just my everyday go-to blush. However, I'm very tempted to leave it behind in order to get through some things. And those things being the Merit blush sticks. I also love that I can swipe these directly on the face and just blend them out. So I do think I'm gonna end up taking those. The question becomes, do I take both the shade Beverly Hills, which is a neutral kind of beigey rose? Do I take Mood, which is a berry blush, or do I take both? I'm very tempted to, but I want to swatch the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk cheek tints that I have because these are ones that I wore a lot in the summer. and I love wearing them. And I have like a bubblegum pink up here and more of a mauvey rose. And I'm kind of thinking I could probably get away with these three. I think that's what I'm gonna do, because today I want to test out the eye and lip that I've been doing nonstop, because it's easy, it's approachable, it's very fall ready, and I want to see how these turn out with it, which could be a mistake because I know this one will go very well and I know this one will go very well. Decisions. Do you know what? I'm going rogue and I want to fall back in love with my Merit. I haven't used these for a while, so that's what we're going to do today. And I'm going to use Mood today and pack Beverly Hills so that I have a more neutral blush option. I could have Regrets, I don't know. So I'm just going to do a swipe. It's also been a while since I've used these. That side looks more like what I would like to apply. I might have gone a little ham on this side. So let's start with this side. I also don't know that I've used these blushes with this brush before, so that will be interesting, but I trust this brush with just about most creams because it is very dense and it has stippling bristles. It's just a really nice blending brush and it makes quick work. So yeah, do you see? This is what I was going for, but sometimes we end up with things like that, so I'm gonna grab a random foundation brush since my other's packed and just kind of dab over that a little bit and tone it down. And then as always, I bring it up over the nose. It's gonna be perfect for chilly months or sunburn look. It kind of just works in any season. So I think this is gonna be an excellent choice, and those two take up hardly any space at all and they need used up. So there you have it. I actually think I'm gonna leave behind my Ulta dual-ended brow highlight. They don't make this anymore, which is such a tragedy, because now the closest option is Anastasia, and it's like twice, if not more, as much than what I paid for that. But I don't know. I know I'll never get through this, but the palettes that I'm planning on packing are gonna cover that for me. So I'm going to pack my blush brush. So I am gonna be a little extra and pack 2 palettes, although I know I could get away with 1. However, I'm going to pack the Ethereal Eyes palettes. This is if I want to add any special shades. And I do like the neutrals in here, but they aren't exactly what I'm looking for, even though they cover it. I'll hold these 2 up together because the other palette I'm taking is the Makeup by Mario mattes, the neutrals. This is my favorite neutral matte palette that I have ever owned, I think. And I've been heavily leaning on this one. If you see them together, this shade is one of the reasons I want to bring it, because it's much lighter than the lightest shade in here. And then there's also just some different tones, and it's these mid-tones that are perfect. They're very light mid-tones, whereas these get a little deeper. And I'm gonna show you what I mean. So the lightest mid-tones in the Ethereal Eyes palette are right there, and they're quite peachy, but when we get into this palette and the shades that I've been using the most for the type of look we're going to do are down here. So a little bit more neutral. There's still some peach in this shade specifically, and that's the one I use a lot. But it's not quite as yellow as this and orange as this, so this one is definitely more neutral, and it's just the perfect tone for what I have been loving to do. So I actually don't think I'm going to use this today unless I get to the end and I want to put a special shade on top. So we're going to just forge ahead, and I'm planning to get the look that I want with these 3 brushes. However, I'm very tempted to try and go into my collection to replace this Give Me Glow small detail brush with the Beautypie Smudge and Shape. We'll see when we get there, but I'm going to take, let's actually do the more neutral of the midtones here. So this shade right here, it is this one. I'm not even gonna try to do left and rights, and the numbers on these are like N1 and they're backwards, so I'm not good at that. But I'm gonna take that on a fluffy blending brush and I'm going to apply that all over the eyelid and up into the crease. And see, when it's on the eye, I feel like there's not a lot of palettes for someone with my depth of skin tone that can go all over the lid without being too deep or just a brightening shade. It's just perfect. It's slightly deeper than my skin tone, and it is a perfect undertone for you if you have yellow-green in your undertone like I do. It just adds a little bit of shadow that's going to help with definition, and it's just a slight switch up for me from doing like a really brightening shade all over the lid. But what I like to do is grab a shader brush. One of my favorites is the Rare Beauty eyeshadow brush because it is slightly angled and it is quite dense. It's almost like using your finger. It's the most finger-like brush that I own. I'm just going to pick up the lightest shade there and hit the inner corner, not too much, not as much as I usually do, but then I'll blend up by the eyebrow bone and just blend slightly into the lid, not too much. Kind of really blend it out because we want just a little bit of brightening like that. And then I'll take some type of either pencil brush or a small detail brush. This one is essentially a tiny, tiny shader brush, so it is flat, but it is tiny. And I've been dipping into this brown shade, so it's not nearly as deep as I would usually go. It's slightly lighter. And I pick that up on my brush, and I pick it up by like tapping it like this and getting it on the tip and on that edge. And then how I've been applying it is I will flip the brush so that the side that has all of the pigment is facing up. And that way I do my little flick like this, and because I have loaded the other side of the brush, it makes it easier to kind of keep it at the tip, but when I want to start blending it, I can just flip it over and my brush is already loaded. It just really helps give me the width of the wing that I want without having to go back in multiple times. And then I will pick up some additional and just line my lid. I picked up a little too much because I have a tiny bit of fallout, and that's usually not a problem with this palette. But then I'm gonna leave it there and do the same to the other side. All right, and then from there, I don't have anything, I haven't added anything to my brush. I am gonna take this and just flick away some of that fallout. You can see I don't have any on this side. Nothing additional on the brush, and I'm just gonna run it along the line that we put in so it's a little bit softer and worn in. And then I do like to go back into that first shade that we picked up and just kind of marry that wing by running over it and then into the crease again. And I do want to take that shader brush and go into the lightest shade again and just hit right under my brow bone. This is why I don't think I need to take the Ulta brow pencil. This is kind of a play on a lot of the 90s trend, a lot of the like siren trend, but it's much softer, and to me, it's like beauty makeup for a work conference because it's quite easy. It gives me the same effect as my liquid liner, but it's a little softer. By no means do you have to be soft for corporate work. I wear glitter eyes, my thick cat liner, and we're gonna get into that. I don't think that you have to dumb it down or change anything up for work. Be yourself. That's my little TED talk. But those are the two palettes I'm going to pack. We'll see if they fit in my bag. I am also going to pack my liquid liner because I do a lot of different looks, but I have staple looks. One of them is a thick black wing, an eye that's soft like this, a one and done, which I can do with the Makeup by Mario, and then also a more structured smoky eye. Those are my go-tos, and I can do them all with those two palettes and the liquid liner. So that's what we're going to do. I was tempted to take a brown liner just to get some use, but I know that I'm not going to use that because my eyes have been sensitive. So we do need to make some decisions around mascara. I have two options, like I always do, a non-tubing and a tubing. For this conference, I know that I'm going to want tubing, so I'm going to take my Age Perfect mascara, L'Oreal, the Lash Magnifying Mascara, easy to remove, waterproof. I'm 90% certain this is officially gone, and I really hope that they bring it back and remarket it, but who knows. So I do need to test this today anyway because I know that it's getting a little dry and I need it to last the trip. But if not, since I did drive, I can always run out and get a tubing mascara, and for an easily accessible one for me. And what I would suggest in place of this is, if you have the budget, Drive Causemetics. However, note that that one is heavy and it's not going to hold a curl. If you want one that is more affordable but just as good and is closer in formula to the L'Oreal, I would go with the e.l.f. Lash Extend. That is the one that I will end up picking up if I need to, if this one runs its course before the end of my trip. Alright, so I've got my lashes on. I really like this face so far. I feel pulled together. I know it's going to last. And most of the products are very, very easy to touch up. This is such a dirty basket. I need to make decisions with lips. I always get overzealous with lips, but before we do that, I'm just going to pack these 3 brushes. There you have it. My brushes are packed. It's gaping a little bit, but I think if I would just, there we go, a little better. Anyway, for lips, the lip that I love the most that I was actually wearing in the last video is the Maybelline Lifter Pencil. I have been wearing Peaking. I love this shade so much. It is so pretty for fall berry and red lips, and it's deep enough that it gives me the structure that I want. I've been wearing that with the Summer Fridays Cherry, and I love this lip so much, and I think that's what we're going to wear today. However, I would like to take one of my Eadems just because they're really nice from a gentle exfoliation aspect. I think I'm going to take Fig. I know that I want to take Phytosurgence Clear Coast as my clear lip balm, and then I think I'm going to take Soft Swells from them and Burt's Bees Dahlia as lip balm options, but I'm also very tempted to take the Ulta. We're going to have decisions to make. I just know it. Okay, 2 more that I need to decide with is the e.l.f. lip oil. This is in Rose Envy, and Hourglass lip balm in Desire. I have the Lawless Forget the Filler in Cherry Vanilla. My friend so graciously a couple months ago got me the Tower 28 St. Bart's. You know I love that scent. So good. And it's just a clear gloss, so I feel like this could be helpful to have. And then I also would love to empty the Victoria Beckham Posh Gloss and Bikini. This is a nude lip. Okay, I know that I am picking a lot of 2 specific categories. One of them is like red berry, which is no surprise because I love that this time of year. And then the other is like a mid-tone rose, which is kind of a typical thing, and a clear / nude option. So I want to swatch them by group. So okay, so these actually are quite different. I'm very shocked. Fig, I think I will take if I want a deeper lip. Girl Crush is cooler. And then I think Dahlia is actually much closer to Soft Swells than I thought. So we'll do Soft Swells and the Ulta for the slightly cooler, cooler version. And then Hourglass lip balm in Desire. I'm curious how that's going to stack up to some of these like slightly red options. So I have Lawless and Cherry Vanilla, which adds the smallest wash of red, and I would love to empty that. So I think that one's for sure going. Summer Fridays in Cherry is definitely going to go, even though it is, I think it's actually it's definitely more pigmented than the Lawless. I also just really love the whole experience of the Lawless. It smells like cherry vanilla. It's so good. And let's see what e.l.f. looks like. Okay, so we have e.l.f. here, Summer Fridays here, Lawless here, and Hourglass. I think I'm going to leave the e.l.f. behind. It's not my favorite formula. It's very minty. It's pretty, but it's not what I'm going for. I do have a Maybelline Lifter Gloss in the shade Heat. Let's see how that stacks up. So that's the Maybelline Lifter Gloss, so it's a little deeper. Honestly, I wish Fig was a little bit sheer like the Maybelline is, because you can get a sheer application of that. but honestly looking, it's very similar to Desire. I hate the smell of these. Whoever said these smell good lied, and I feel duped. They're very synthetic, like Play-Doh that you added something sweet and vanilla to, but the Play-Doh comes through more, so I don't recommend those. The texture is fine, but the smell puts me off completely. So I think what we're gonna end up doing is Hourglass Summer Fridays Lawless, even though I definitely could pick between these two. And then we'll do Clear Phytosurgence, Pigmented Phytosurgence, and the Ulta as lip balms, because this is probably what I'm going to be wanting to reapply the most. And then actually, I'm going to leave the Eadem at home. I really am sad that I chose wrong and didn't get the clear, because the clear would absolutely be going, because I love this product formulation wise, but the colors are very, very pigmented and you definitely need a mirror. And sometimes I think in this season of life, I'm more into a sheerer level of pigment. So I think these 6 lips are what is going with me, which I don't think is bad, especially with a clear gloss or lip balm. But then I need to decide if I think I'm going to need a nude. Honestly, I think the Phytosurgence will do just fine for that. And then between the Ulta and the Lawless, they're sheer enough that I can get kind of a nude lip without it, although I should be using this up. Okay, a few minutes have passed and I decided to go ahead and pack the Tower 28 St. Bart's. It's just like a nice little aromatherapy. I can do that in the conference and people might look at me weird, but it's not a big deal. So today I'm going to wear the Lifter Liner in Peaking and Summer Fridays in Cherry. I'm going to throw that on. All right, I had to step away for a second, but I did line my lips. I'm going to touch them up because it has been a minute and I was drinking some water. But this is the Maybelline Lifter Gloss in Peaking. I always want to say Player. This is Peaking. It is a really nice color. It's very reminiscent to me of like the OG NARS Dolce Vita. I feel like the color has since changed in that, but it's like a red, but there's enough like brown and beige to it that it's not a vivid red. It's desaturated in that sense. So I really love that. And then what I like to top it with is the Summer Fridays. They call this a lip mask, lip balm. Yeah, butter lip balm in Cherry. These go really nicely together, and I've been loving lining my lips on the outer edge and then bringing it in close to the center, but leaving a little bit of the center bare. It's a very comfortable lip. It's a very fall lip, and I love it so much. This could easily go into spring as well. But that said, I did make the decision off camera to pack 3 lip liners. I have the one that I'm wearing now, the Maybelline Lifter in Peaking, the Maybelline Lifter in Big Time, and the Makeup by Mario Smoky Pink here. So it kind of runs the gamut. One, Smoky Pink is a little bit, has the most brown to it in all of this, but it's a little deeper, a little cooler. The Maybelline is cool, but it has more pink to it. Probably could do with one of these, but I figured why not play around. And then a nice red. So all of that to say, I'm going to leave these out because I am wearing this to my little get together tonight, but everything fit in the Jane Iredale bag that I have. It goes pretty flat. Obviously, I would need to cut back on lips, I think, if I were traveling by plane, but because I'm in a car, this is fine. This is either going to fit in my toiletry bag or be packed separate, which is fine. But I did leave out my brushes because I didn't want to crush them too much, so these will for sure be going in my toiletry bag. And then I left out my sunscreen as well because that's going to go in my toiletry bag. But I hope this was fun. I'm going to give a couple of rundown of tips. So when I'm packing my makeup for a trip, what I like to do is the first thing I do for any trip is getting my outfits together, and I will insert a couple of pictures here. Granted, I'm not making a nice face. I will try on all of my clothes and I will take pictures of them, how I would wear them, and try to see how much I can mix and match. Based on my outfits is how I plan the makeup looks that I'm going for. Something like this would go with just about anything, especially being able to switch up the lip and the blush. And just making sure that I have the right colors that match those outfits. So if you're curious how I do the color matching, let me know. I can do that in a video. But I figure out my makeup from there, then I pack my makeup and depending on if I'm going on a plane or not, is going to dictate how much I whittle that down, and then I'll set my makeup aside and we'll see how it fits into my TSA bags. But then what I do from here is, now that I have my makeup packed, I like to do a trial run like I did with you today, just to make sure everything flows together, especially if you're trying new products or you're trying products that you haven't tried in a while. It's always good to test them out first. And I will leave this packed even though I'm not leaving for another few days, probably like 4 or 5 days. And that gives me an opportunity to use makeup that I'm not typically reaching for, because a lot of my favorites get packed. So those are my tips when packing for makeup. If you like this content, please give it a like and let me know down below. I never urge you to like any videos, but sometimes I feel like that's what we're supposed to do. I don't know. Anyway, I will be running through my toiletries because that's where I usually have the most anxiety. It's easy for me to whittle down makeup. It's not so easy for me to whittle down personal care. And I've learned a lot of tips and tricks, and so we're gonna approach that as like, here are my top tips, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I hope you are having a wonderful, wonderful day. And the coping skill for today's video is this clip of Frank. I just love Frank. He is one of my favorite ways to detach from whatever's stressing me, and having a dance party with him, playing with him, petting him. He's just the best boy around. And so here, I will share a little bit of him with you. Thanks for putting up with some of the chaos he brings to the channel, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm also going to include, I just thought of this, I'm also going to include the link to donate to the destruction that has happened in the Appalachian region in East Tennessee and North Carolina. My heart still hurts, and I'm still thinking of everybody that was impacted. It's going to be a long road to recovery and rebuilding that area, so I don't want it to fall off the map once we're out of the woods, so to speak. We're nowhere near to being out of the woods. And again, Appalachia is very close to my heart. I'm so happy that people are bringing awareness to this. I want to continue to too. So if you want to donate to anything to help those in need right now, that link will be in the description box. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Sometimes Frank just wants to be a superstar too, you know? Yeah, you tell the people. Tell the people. He's good doggy. Yeah, he's good boy. That's my good boy. Oh, I love a boy. He also loves to eat makeup and skincare, so we gotta watch that. Love that dog. Say bye to the people and promise them that you won't bark. I'm convinced. Okay. Okay.